of Uplifting Nonprofits. Thank you for joining us today for another segment of Uplifting Solutions, where we have an advice expert. Today we have Peter Miragliotta joining us. He is the president and founder of Mast Associates. It's a consultancy firm that provides tactical solutions to nonprofit organizations to help them achieve both their strategic as well as fundraising goals. Hi, Pete. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So I have to tell you, I was really impressed, and we were at the Nonprofit Cafe.
Sure.
And you were talking about Charity Watchdogs. And I knew so little compared to what you talked about. I figured this information needs to be shared.
Great.
And what I recognized is that you said most nonprofits aren't aware of the value of Charity Watchdogs.
That's correct.
And that they don't have a strategic plan on how to respond to them or participate. And so you've coined a phrase that they need to have a Charity Watchdog profile?
Correct.
So let's start at the beginning so everybody understands.
Sure.
What's a Charity Watchdog?
So that's a perfect question to start with, right? In brief, it's a group of organizations that provide information to donors about the nonprofit organizations. There are 5 of them that we generally talk about, 4 that we look at when we do a Charity Watchdog review. 2 of them actually do reviews of the nonprofits and provide them with a rating, but 2 of them that are among the most popular don't do ratings at all. They really exist for the benefit of the nonprofits, to give them a platform to provide information about their programs, their missions, their outcomes, and so on. And a lot of the nonprofit leaders don't seem to be aware of that and don't really take advantage of the opportunity that offers.
So let me ask you, because when I was hearing this and I realized what a Charity Watchdog was, I was familiar with GuideStar and Charity Navigator.
Right.
You said there are 5, but 4 are used. Could you tell us who they are?
Yes, so there are 4 that we generally look at.
Okay.
And the ones that you named, Charity Navigator and GuideStar, are the best known. But there's something called the Better Business Bureau Wise Giving Alliance, which is a national arm of the Better Business Bureau that looks at national charities. But many of the local Better Business Bureaus, like the one in New York, also do charity reviews.
Oh, I didn't know this.
So they and Charity Navigator are more similar. But then there's also another organization called Great Nonprofits that really exists for the benefit of the nonprofits and to give them an opportunity to tell their own story, and for donors to talk about, well, donors and others, to talk about what they think of those particular nonprofits. So we always look at those 4 when we're talking to a client.
So you sort of hinted at it, but what is really the benefit of a nonprofit to be on a Charity Watchdog? I mean, why is that important?
There are actually some studies and some surveys that have been conducted that support the notion that having a presence with the Charity Watchdog organizations improves fundraising. In one survey, 52% of donors said they'd be more likely to give to a charity that had one of the Watchdog seals on its website. A startling 84% said they would give less if they didn't see that seal there.
So you said that all organizations don't qualify to be on these Charity Watchdogs, yet you're also saying that a whopping 84% of donors aren't giving if they aren't on it. So how do you reconcile those two statements? Right.
It's not really contradictory, and it actually makes a lot of sense. So if we talk about Charity Navigator and the Better Business Bureau, they have specific criteria that you have to satisfy in order to qualify for a review by them.
Right. Okay.
At its highest level, Charity Navigator looks for at least $1 million a year in revenue over the last couple of years. The Better Business Bureau looks for $250,000 in revenue, and for the charity to have been in business for at least 3 years. So it's much easier to qualify.
So $250,000 each year, or cumulative?
In each year.
In each year, for 3 years, for the consensus. Okay.
Right.
Right,
Right,
okay.
and I think they really just look at the last year, but they want to make sure you've been in business at least 3 years.
Okay,
Charity Navigator looks for you to have been in business for 7 years. And there are a number of other criteria
right.
that they use. So not everybody qualifies for them.
Yeah, right.
And in the case of the Better Business Bureau, it's a lot easier with $250,000. But a lot of the charities may choose not to be evaluated by the Better Business Bureau. But GuideStar and Great Nonprofits list every 501c3 organization on their website, and there are no qualifying criteria other than you registering on their website and providing the information that they ask for. So it's really not a heavy lift, and you can sort of control your rating on both of those websites. And then there are a number of other websites, charity-related websites, that they share those ratings with. So a number of clients that I've worked with aren't even aware of that. They've never spent time on the Great Nonprofits website, and they're very surprised if they go there and they see that they've had some bad reviews. And they don't think about the fact that they have an opportunity to tap people on the shoulder who like what they do and think they do it well, and ask them to go ahead and give them a rating.
So what you're saying about great nonprofits is my organization, my nonprofit organization, might already be listed and have reviews, and I have no clue about
Absolutely.
this. So all nonprofits should really go and check their rating.
It behooves them to assign somebody on their staff to check that on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah, like a Yelp, exactly.
Exactly. It's just like Yelp. What you and I both know is that the vast majority of nonprofits are really legitimate. They're well-run, they're well-intentioned.
Yes, they are.
You know, the people are really dedicated to serving whoever their particular clients are.
Right.
But we're also seeing that the media is picking up a lot on fraudulent nonprofits or suspected fraud, picking up on situations where maybe the charity is spending a lot more money on executive perks, or on fundraising than people might think is appropriate.
Right.
So when donors, at a minimum, go to a Charity Watchdog website, they want to make sure that the organization is legitimate. For the most part, when donors go to a GuideStar or a Charity Navigator, they're looking for a specific charity. Somebody's probably already sent them a mailer or given them a pitch, and they're inclined to give money, but they just want one last verification that the organization is legitimate and it's well thought of. Sometimes just seeing that seal on their website will be enough, but sometimes they want to go to the Great Nonprofits or Charity Navigator or BBB and see a little bit more, just to confirm that they should write that check for $5 or $100.
Our donors are getting much more savvy.
Absolutely.
Much more savvy. So you were explaining a little bit about the difference of the Charity Watchdog.
Right.
And the benefits of a nonprofit being on it. But how would a nonprofit choose or decide which one to be on?
They don't always get to choose. So if they qualify for a Charity Navigator review and their number is up, Charity Navigator comes along and checks all the boxes and they qualify, they're going to review them. They don't get to decide that they want to be rated or not, and they find out about the review just when everybody else finds out about it, when it's published on the website.
Right.
So they don't all have that opportunity to make all those decisions. In the case of the Better Business Bureau, it's a little bit more of a democratic process, if I can use that term, in that the nonprofit, first of all, the qualification's lower, $250,000 versus $1 million.
Right.
The nonprofit can ask to be reviewed.
Oh, okay.
And the Better Business Bureau may come along and agree to review them. After all, the more charities they review, the better for them. The caution there, and we do this with all of our clients who are interested in that, is that the Better Business Bureau has 20 charity standards that they review. You have to meet all 20 to earn their seal. If you miss one, you get standards not met. It's the same if you miss one or if you miss five, you get the same exact rating. And of course, once you enter the process, you can't say to them, oh, I changed my mind, I don't want to be rated. So we always suggest to our clients that they allow us to conduct a preliminary review so that they have a pretty good idea that they're going to be able to pass this review when they finally go through it. But in the case of GuideStar and great nonprofits, which are not rating agencies at all, they're informational agencies, they really exist for the benefit of the charities, whereas the other two really exist for the benefit of the donors. Every 501c3 qualifies, and all they need to do is register with those websites and provide a bunch of information that the agency is looking for to improve their rating and to earn their seals.
There are the 4 different charities you're talking about, watchdogs, and that each one has different standards to apply.
Correct.
Right? So are the application processes longer on one than another, or more paperwork, or
Well,
more time consuming,
right.
I guess is the question?
So with Charity Navigator, you don't do anything. Charity Navigator looks at your IRS 990, and they look at your website, and they come up with their particular rating and your score, your numeric score, and the number of stars that you earn, anywhere from 0 to 4.
So you don't fill anything out?
You don't do anything. You may have contact with them after the fact,
Right.
if you feel that they got something wrong, or they dinged you for something, some piece of information that they think should be on your website,
Right.
and now you've gone ahead and added it,
Right.
then you can contact them, they'll review it, and then they'll make a change to your rating accordingly. And then with GuideStar and great nonprofits, again, it's probably a matter of a few hours of work. And in particular with GuideStar, it's how much information you want to provide. They have a number of seals that they offer. They call them transparency seals: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, depending on how much information you provide.
So I also am aware that there are nonprofits that aren't on it, obviously.
Right,
Don't know about it. But then there are others that resist being on it.
that's correct.
Why are they resisting it? What's the...
And that is actually what got me into doing this kind of work
Okay.
in the first place, because I would go to various nonprofit seminars or events or networking things, and I would talk to people about the charity rating agencies and find out that they were very antagonistic in many cases. A lot of times they really disagree with the financial measures that they use to evaluate the nonprofits.
What do you mean by financial measure?
Let's say you don't qualify for a Charity Navigator rating.
Okay.
You might qualify for a BBB rating, or maybe you've gotten a less than positive Charity Navigator rating. The BBB looks at different things and has different standards, different metrics. So you might only get 2 stars on Charity Navigator. You might still be able to earn the Better Business Bureau seal as,
Right.
as an approved, as an approved nonprofit.
Right.
So that becomes more or less a strategic decision. And as I said, it comes with certain risks. But there's a sense that, they shouldn't be rated at all. People shouldn't be looking at this, it's not the right thing to do.
Right.
And what I tell my clients and others that will listen, and some of them don't necessarily like it, but I say to them, it doesn't matter so much what you think about this. There's a whole group of people that think these organizations are great, and we call them donors.
Right.
So the donors are looking for this information, and they expect you to be able to provide it. One thing that's really important to mention is your own website is an important element in your Charity Watchdog profile. So educated donors will go to a website like Charity Navigator that says, well, if we didn't rate the charity and you want to evaluate them, here's a list of things you should look for.
So they'll go to the organization, the nonprofit's website.
Right.
And look for these things that Charity Navigator said to...
Yeah, like information about their board and executive salaries and donor privacy policies and things like that. So they'll go to your website and be looking for this information. Now the thing is, you help nonprofits with fundraising.
Right.
And a lot of what they do is face-to-face discussions with particular donors. Well, you know when you've had that discussion, almost with 100% certainty, if they're going to make a donation or not. You may even know how much they're going to donate. You don't know who's looking at your website.
That is correct.
You don't know who's looking at you on GuideStar or Charity Navigator or the others.
Right.
So it behooves you to have the best possible representation of your organization there so that people who go there come away with a favorable impression and go ahead and make a donation, which is probably why they were there in the first place anyway. They don't necessarily need a lot of encouragement.
What's really interesting about what you said is the website, going to the website. And,
Right.
and nonprofits, organizations are creating websites so donors can learn about them.
Right.
But as they tell their stories and their history and their who we are,
Right.
they may not, though, be hitting the points that the donors need for affirmation that this is a viable organization to donate money to.
And the information may be there, but it may be so hard to find that people just give up.
Right.
So-
they don't know where to look for it.
Right. So Charity Navigator uses a rule of thumb. If an experienced analyst is looking for information on your website and they've looked for it for 5 minutes and they haven't found it, they assume it's not there because they believe the average donor isn't going to spend even that much time
Right.
looking for something if they have to click and click and click to find it. So it's important that you have it there, but it also should not be buried.
Thank you, Pete. This has been fascinating.
Great.
And for me, as I said, I didn't know much about it, and so many of my clients can't be bothered. It's a waste of time.
Mhm.
Exactly what you said also about, they don't agree with the financial
Right.
perspective. So, yet, if they're not on it, they could be losing donors
Absolutely.
and money. So it's a conundrum, isn't it?
The opportunity is tremendous. Less than 7% of all the 501c3 organizations in the country are actively participating on this Charity Navigator website. So if you think about that, that's a great way to differentiate your organization from other organizations that are competing with you for donor dollars.
Amazing. Thank you, Pete.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for joining us today. Remember to keep smiling because you make a difference.